Okay, we are looking at the study guide here. So as you know, I'm not here today, but either way, here or not, you need to pay attention and take your time in completing the study guide. So starting with number 1, Alicia and her father are painting a wall in their basement. Alicia shaded a grid to show how much of the wall they have painted so far. What percent of the grid is shaded? So please remember that this is a 100 grid, meaning there are 100 squares, and then each row and column is 10 squares. So I'm going to count 10, 20, 30, 40. It's 40%. That's all you're going to do. Number 2 says, what is 0.4% of 100? Okay, so is over of and percent out of 100. So I'm going to write this here to the side to remind ourselves. Percent always out of 100%, because remember, a ratio is a percent, is a ratio to 100. And then I have is over of. Okay, so let's read it again. What is 4% of 100? So what is, meaning we don't know what the is, but let's write down what we know. 0.4%. That decimal is very important because it means it's less than 1%. Okay, is equal to, so of, is over of 10, 10 goes on the bottom. Now this is, we're going to cross multiply and divide. So in my calculator, I'll multiply 0.4 times 10 divided by 100, and I get 0.04, or 4/100 of a percent. Okay. Number 3 is asking you to select all the expressions that are equivalent to 5% of 200. So before we can decide any of this, we need to actually figure out what is 5% of 200. So percent over 100, using my model back up here from number 2, is equal to is over of. So we don't know what my is, but we know of 200. So 200 goes in the bottom. And you had similar problems to this in Savas. So I'm going to multiply 5 times 200 and then divide that by 100, and I get 10. So 5% of 200 is 10. Now, this is my answer right here. So we need to simplify every single one of these to determine which one of these, or which couple of them, are equivalent to 10. Well, first of all, you see 10 as an option. Shade him right away. Okay, so the rest of these, you can literally plug this into your calculator. Okay, but here's another thing. What if I simplify, just play devil's advocate, what if I simplify 5 to 100? What is 5 to 100 simplified? 1/20th. So hear me out. Here's what I've done. Here's one way of looking at it, 1/20th. Okay? Just showing you something right here. Okay, but hang on. We're going to multiply 1/20th times 200. And I get 10. Okay. So when we look at these fractions, so I know 1/20th is not equivalent to 1/5, but you could always plug it in anyway. It's 40. Nope. And then we can put this in our calculator. 1/2 divided by 200 is 1/400. So none of those work. So we have 1/20th times 200 and 10 are equivalent to 5% of 200. Number 4, Alistair's father is 120% of Alistair's height. If his father measures 180 centimeters, how tall is Alistair? So first of all, remembering our percent over here, this right here, okay? So starting with what we know, percent out of 100. Remember, percent is a ratio to 100. So even though 120 is greater than 100, it's still going to go on top because we're comparing it to 100. Okay, and I'll do this. Okay, so Alistair's father is 120%. If his father measures 180 centimeters, how tall is Alistair? So 120% is actually 180, okay? And remember, if you're also not sure like what my is and of is, right here it says is 120%, is. And so your is always going to match up with this percent over 100, okay? So now I just have to cross multiply and divide. So I have 100 times 180 gives me 18,000. Then divide that by 120. So Alistair measures 150 centimeters. Okay, so if you're like, wait a minute, that's less, that's smaller. Well, 100% is smaller than 120%. So naturally, my of is going to be smaller than my is. So let's write 150 centimeters. Okay. A study found that 9% of dog owners brush their dog's teeth. Of 578 dog owners, about how many would be expected to brush their dog's teeth? So let's write what we know. Percent to 100. I have 9% to 100%. Okay. So right here they're saying of 578. So right there tells me my of is 578. So that goes on the bottom. Okay. And then I'm going to cross multiply and divide to figure out how many owners are expected to brush their teeth. And spoiler alert, I don't brush my dog's teeth. I know I should probably do that, but I want her to love me. But loving her would be brushing her teeth. So here's what I came up with, 52.02. Now, when we are talking about dog owners, we don't talk about part of people. We talk about whole people. So in this example right here, I would round down to 52. So I'm going to say 52. 52 dog owners are expected to brush their pups' teeth. All right, number 6. Paula weeded 40% of her garden in 8 minutes. How many minutes will it take her to weed all of her garden at this rate? So, what do we know? We know 40%. We know it's a ratio to 100. So here's the hard part. Okay, so 40% of her garden in 8 minutes. So 40% is 8 minutes, okay? These go together, so 8 minutes up here. So the question is, well, how many minutes would it take to weed the whole garden? Okay, so we're going to multiply 100 times 8 divided by 40. And we're looking at 20 minutes. 20 minutes. Notice we keep doing our is over of ratio to 100. So 7 is a 2-part question, and you will see something like this on your test, so I'll tell you which ones go together. The circle graph shows how Spencer spent his money in the month of July. Okay. So if Spencer spent a total of $704 in the month of July, estimate the amount of money he spent on clothing to the nearest $10. Okay, so let's talk about this first. I know all of this is equivalent to $704. Okay, so we got to read our table, our graph as well. He spent a total of $704 in the month of July. Estimate the amount of money he spent on clothing. So we're looking for the percent of clothing, which is 27%. Ratio to 100. And the total, which is also your of, is $704. And the question is, how much did he spend on clothing to the nearest $10? So you will need to estimate 27 times 704 is 19,008 divided by 100. So to the nearest $10, okay? So when I say I'm the nearest $10, I am looking at the tens place, which is my 9. So that will force me to look at my ones place. And this is 0. This 0, what is it? 4 and below, leave it alone. So we're going to round to $190. We're not going to worry about the change. We're going to say $90. Let's look at part B. Estimate the amount of money he spent on entertainment to the nearest $10. So as you can see, you don't have to get part A right to get part B, but it's just a two-part question. So first of all, estimate the amount of money he spent on entertainment. Go back to the top. How much is, what percentage? Yes, 18% to 100 of entertainment. And then again, this does come back up here because you're going to have to know, well, how much did he spend altogether again? Well, it was 704. So we're going to use that same amount down here in the bottom. Okay, oopsies, write that down. And now I'm going to cross multiply and divide. 18 times 704 divided by 100. This time it's not so pretty. It's not so pretty. I have $126.72. Well, I'm not going to worry about the 72. I'm going to look at my ones place, my 6. And does that round my 2 up? Yes, it does. 5 and above, give it a shove. So I'm going to round up to $130. $130 on entertainment. Here it is. Okay, number 8. All but 4 of the 50 state capitals have an interstate highway serving them. What percent of capitals do not have interstates? Okay, so this is like a little, ooh, okay, so hear me out. Percent to 100. So we always know 100% is going on the bottom. But this case, they want to know percent. So we don't know this. All but 4 of the 50 state capitals. So what percent do not have interstates? So they want to figure out what is 4 divided by 100. Okay, continuing. So our is over of, since we want to know percent, is 4 out of 50 because 4 states do not have, 4 state capitals do not have an interstate highway serving them. So we're going to cross multiply 4 times 100. 4 times 100 divided by 50. And we get 8. So that is 8%. 8%. Look at number 9. Number 9 says for each fraction, decimal, or percent, write the equivalent number from the list below. So you're going to be matching these up for the equivalent. So we've done this, comparing, ordering, decimals and fractions, but now we're adding in percents. I'm going to pause because we have a visitor, Logan Smith. Okay. So for each fraction, decimal, or percent, write the equivalent number from the list below. So you're going to be matching these up. So we did this in our notebooks. We had to do that table with fractions, decimals, and percents, finding equivalency. Okay, so you can start with whatever you want. I do like to go look at my fractions and then convert them. So I'm going to say 19, we're going to do 19/50ths And we're going to convert, remember, to second fraction decimal, and I get 0.38. So this is 38 hundredths. And remember, I do not see that decimal. I don't, but ooh, I do see 38%. So my question is 38%. If I were to make 38 hundredths a percent, I would multiply that by 100. So I would put, and it'll be matching, so I'm just going to do like this. So these two are equivalent. Now, 68 hundredths we got to match with one of these, okay? So let's do that. So 0.68, and we're going to convert fraction decimal, simplify again, and I get 17 over 25. Do I? Ooh, I do. So this one, okay. And then let's go to 9/20. Let's go put 9/20 into, okay, 45 hundredths. Ooh, look at that. That was wonderful. Do you see what we're doing here? It's all we're going to do is match-a-pie, match-a-pie, match-a-pie. And then I have 80%. So that's a good one to practice. 80% and hit enter. That gives you your decimal immediately. So let's convert to fraction decimal. Simplify. We get 4/5. And that's equivalent here. So in this case, we'll say you're taking TCAP and you got to save time. Well, you've matched everything up but one, so that should be correct, right? But let's just try it. 0.54, fraction decimal, simplify, 27/50. There you go. So that should not be too bad. And again, we practiced this on our calculator and in our notebook. Number 10, a coat and a pair of boots are on sale for 20% off. The regular price of the coat is $225. The regular price of the boots is $130. Find the sale price of the coat. Okay, I am going to tell you two different things. Now, as a consumer myself, and you guys are also consumers, when I go to the store and I want to figure out how much my item is going to be, well, I see it's 20% off. So, but let's think about this here. Let's do this in front of Logan. He's going to learn his schmidge too. So think about this here. You come up here. Okay, so my coat and my pair of boots are on sale for 20% off. The regular price is $225. Okay, so let's start with that. Now, you want to do percent of this, right? Yes. So you want to say 20%. However, if you want to know how much it costs, well, I'm going to do both to save you a step though. 20% over 100%, okay? And I know my total is $225. And so I'm going to figure out 20%, okay? So I'm going to say 20 times 225, enter, divided by 100. So 20% is $45. So to figure out what the sale price is, I'm going to say 225 minus 45. And the sale price is going to be $180. But here's another way of doing it. Instead of doing 20%, I'm just going to go jump over here to 80% because that's what I'm actually going to pay. And that way I'm going to save the subtraction step. Is that making sense, Logan?
How'd you get to 80?
Because 100 minus 20 is 80. What a great question on camera. 80 times 225 divided by 100 is going to give me, it should give me 180, and it did. So if you see right there, I just saved us one step.
And you got the same answer.
And I got the same answer. Look who wants to go shopping this week, and tell Elizabeth. So the boots now, I'm going to do my second way with the boots. So the boots are also 80% off. So I'm going to say what I'm paying for is 80%. And my boots were $130. Okay. So I'm going to do 80 times 130 divided by 100. And then my boots are going to be $104. So I'm saving a step. And that is it. That is it on the study guide.